Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling something that, well, touches almost everyone at some point, preparing for a job interview. You want to walk in feeling confident, feeling ready, whether it's, your first proper career step or maybe your next big move.
Exactly. And that's pretty much our mission today. We're going deep into the essential and really actionable advice, stuff that will help you not just get through your next interview, but actually, hopefully, shine.
Okay. And our guide for this.
We're using a really great article from prospects.ac.uk. It was published back in May 2023 by Rachel Swain. She's the editorial manager there.
Prospects, right? Good source. Okay, so let's get into it. The article, it kicks off by outlining the different kinds of interviews you might face. Because it's way more than just sitting across a desk these days, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, while that traditional face-to-face interview, that's still very common, right? It can run anywhere from, say, 45 minutes to maybe a couple of hours. And it might include tests or Kojins designed to understand your natural talents, like how strength-based questions sometimes.
Strength-based question.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So it's not just about what you have done, but maybe more about how you're wired, your potential.
Precisely. Yeah, they look at your inherent abilities, how you naturally approach things. But beyond that, you should also be ready for telephone interviews. Often that's like an early stage thing just to narrow down the candidates, typically around maybe 30 minutes.
Oh.
Then you've got video interviews, increasingly popular, especially for those initial stages or maybe with remote candidates. These can be live, like a normal call, or sometimes even pre-recorded where you answer set questions to camera, usually around that half-hour mark too.
Pre-recorded. Wow, that sounds a bit strange. And what about those longer, more intensive ones you hear about, especially with the bigger companies?
Ah, right. Those would be assessment centers.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they sound intense because they often are, usually a full-day event. Employers evaluate several candidates together through a whole mix of activities.
Like what kind of activities?
Things like presentations, maybe group exercises to see how you collaborate, sometimes even psychometric tests, those ones designed to assess personality, aptitude, cognitive skills, that sort of thing. It's not unusual for larger organizations, particularly when they're hiring graduates, to use a mix of these different formats.
Right, okay. So understanding the playing field, the type of interview, that's step one. Now, the article really hammered home that performing well really hinges on what you do before you even get near the interview room or log on to the call. It's not about last-minute cramming, is it?
No, not at all. Not effectively, anyway. Solid interview performance, it's built on a foundation of preparation, days, even weeks leading up to it. And the article really emphasizes that your research into the employer, it needs to go way beyond just like a quick skim of their website homepage.
Okay, so beyond the About Us page, what are the key areas to really dig into when you're researching a company?
You need to aim for a genuine understanding of their world, their context. So what industry are they actually in? What are the big challenges they might be grappling with right now? Who are their main competitors? What are they up to?
Okay.
Have they been in the news recently? Any major projects launched? And crucially, what do they actually say about their own culture and values? Because digging into this, it obviously shows genuine interest. But maybe more importantly, it lets you tailor your answers.
How exactly?
Well, say their big challenge is breaking into a new market. You can think, right, how could my skills help with that specific problem? Or maybe they've just announced a big sustainability drive and you've got some relevant experience there. You weave that directly into your conversation, makes it much more specific.
That makes total sense. Yeah, it's showing you're not just looking for any job, but you're specifically interested in this job at this place.
Yeah,
What about drilling down into the role itself? Is it just rereading the job description?
that's definitely the starting point, yeah. But go deeper. Revisit your application, your cover letter, whatever you sent them. Remind yourself of the key requirements they listed and how you matched your skills and experience to those points. You need to be ready to clearly explain why you want this specific job, what you understand the day-to-day to involve, and maybe the most crucial bit, why should they choose you over all the other potentially qualified people? It's about connecting your past to their future needs.
Right. So it's not just listing skills, but showing how they solve the problems or meet the needs outlined in that role. The article also mentions researching your interviewers, if you can. How often is that actually possible?
It varies. It might not always be possible to get loads of detail, but it's definitely worth a quick look. The interview invitation email might list the names of the people you'll meet. If it does, or even if you just get a name somehow, LinkedIn is your friend. Also, the company's About Us or team page, you can often get a sense of their professional background, their role in the company, maybe even some shared interests or connections. This can help you, find a bit of common ground, maybe tailor the conversation slightly, build a
A
connection.
bit subtly, right. You don't want to sound like you've been stalking them online.
Exactly. Just be careful not to overanalyze or make weird assumptions based on a profile. It's about building rapport, not building a dossier.
Right, okay. Good distinction. And then, of course, the classic interview prep, anticipating the questions. Any strategies beyond just rehearsing, tell me about yourself and why do you want to work here?
Yeah, definitely think about those common behavioral questions. The tell me about a time when
Okay,
this
Raleigh.
once or situational, what would you do if? But instead of just rambling about an experience, try to structure your answers. The STAR method is really good for this.
Star. Remind me.
Situation, task, action, result. It gives you a clear, concise story that really demonstrates your capability. Also, think about your research. Based on what you found out about the company's challenges, prepare specific examples of how you've tackled similar situations before. And, this is crucial, don't forget to prepare some thoughtful questions you want to ask them.
Ah, yes, the questions for the interviewer. Why is that so important?
Well, it shows you're genuinely engaged, you're interested, you've thought about it properly. It shows it's a two-way street, you're evaluating them too.
Absolutely. Shows you're invested. Now, moving beyond the actual, content of the interview, there's the nuts and bolts of it all, the practical planning.
Yes. Don't overlook the fundamentals. Sounds basic, but double check the date, the time, the exact location. Map it out. If it's in person, plan your journey. Check train times, bus routes, allow for traffic, potential delays. Give yourself plenty of buffer time. And for virtual interviews, honestly, make absolutely sure all your tech, laptop, webcam, mic, internet connection is working perfectly. Do a test run.
A test run is a great idea. Avoid that last-minute panic. And something that's maybe easy to forget when you're so focused on the interview itself, your own well-being.
Oh, totally crucial. The article really highlights getting a proper night's sleep beforehand. You need to be alert, focused, and don't skip meals. Even if you're feeling those pre-interview jitters, have breakfast. Or if it's an afternoon interview, eat lunch. Having something nutritious gives you sustained energy, helps you think clearly. You really can't perform at your best if you're running on empty.
Good advice. Okay, so you've done the deep dive research, prepped answers, prepped questions, sorted logistics. What's the next crucial step the article emphasizes?
Practice. Practice, practice, practice. Honestly, cannot stress this enough. Aim for at least one full mock interview before the real deal. If you're, say, a recent graduate, your university career service is often brilliant for this. They usually offer mock interview sessions.
Right, and if you're not a recent grad or don't have access to that,
Then, maybe enlist the help of someone you trust, a friend, a former colleague, maybe a mentor. Give them the job description, maybe some potential questions you've thought of, and ask them to really put you through your paces. And try writing out your answers to those potential questions and actually practice saying them out loud.
saying them out loud, does that really make a difference?
Huge difference. The article even suggests recording yourself. It can feel a bit awkward, I know, listening back, but it's incredibly helpful for spotting where you maybe ramble a bit or talk too fast or aren't clear. Helps you refine your delivery. And like we said, always, always test your tech phone connection, video call software with your practice partner too.
Makes perfect sense. It's like building muscle memory, getting comfortable with actually articulating your points. Now let's talk about what you should physically have with you on the day, or have ready for a virtual one.
Okay, for an in-person interview, your sort of essential toolkit should probably include a pen and a notebook. Good for jotting down key points or questions that come up. Bring several clean copies of your CV, maybe the interview invitation email printout, any academic certificates or work samples if they specifically asked for them, photo ID, definitely. And then some practical things. Breath mints, maybe, bottle of water, enough cash or card for transport, maybe a snack.
Good list. And for the virtual setup.
Make sure your laptop or computer is fully charged or plugged in. Use a headset or earphones if you can, ideally with a mic. It really helps cut down background noise and makes the audio much clearer for everyone. Have any software login details handy, Zoom link, Teams invite, whatever it is. And yeah, a glass of water nearby is always a good shout.
Okay. Now, the perennial question. What on earth do you wear?
Yeah.
The article acknowledges this can feel like a bit of a minefield these days.
It really can. It's definitely more complex than it used to be, with some offices being super casual now and others still very traditional. The article rightly points out that things like the company size, the industry they're in, the overall company vibe, They all influence what's expected. Say, tech startup will likely have a very different feel to a big law firm.
So how do you navigate that uncertainty then? What's the rule of thumb?
The safest bet, and the article echoes this, is when in doubt, err on the side of smart business attire. It's nearly always better to be slightly overdressed than significantly underdressed. Only go for a more casual look if you've been explicitly told it's okay, or if you're absolutely certain from your research that it's the norm there. But regardless of formal or casual, the details matter. Make sure clothes are clean, ironed, shoes are clean and presentable. It just shows you care.
And a really crucial point you mentioned for virtual interviews, where maybe only your top half is visible on camera.
Yes, so important. Even if you think only your top half will be seen, dress professionally from head to toe, as if you were there in person. Honestly, it helps get you into the right professional mindset. Trying to sound sharp while wearing pajama bottoms it doesn't quite work, does it? Mentally or practically?
Agreed. It's about embodying that professional you want to project.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're prepped, you're dressed appropriately, you've arrived or logged in. How do you make a positive impression that goes beyond just giving brilliant answers?
Okay, several key things the article highlights. First off, punctuality. Seems obvious, but arriving late. It just ramps up your own stress and makes a terrible first impression. Aim to be there or logged in on time or maybe even a few minutes early. Give yourself that buffer.
Makes sense. What about your overall attitude, how you interact?
Positivity and genuine enthusiasm are huge. Be polite, be professional, not just with the main interviewers, but with everyone you encounter. Receptionist, anyone you pass in the corridor, anyone managing the tech side of a call. Everyone. And if you're feeling nervous, which is totally normal, try to reframe that energy as excitement for the opportunity. Keep your language positive. Talk enthusiastically about the job, the company, and definitely avoid bad-mouthing past employers or, difficult university projects. Keep it positive.
Good point. And body language. We all know it matters in person, but how does that work for phone or video?
It's still surprisingly vital, even if less is visible. In person, obviously, a confident handshake firm but not crushing. When seated, try for a natural but upright posture. Avoid slumping or, excessive fidgeting. Smile genuinely when appropriate. Maintain good eye contact. For video calls, be really mindful of that posture and try hard to look at the camera sometimes, not just the screen image of the person. That creates the feeling of eye contact for them.
Looking at the camera lens, good tip.
Yeah. And even on a phone call, believe it or not, your posture affects your voice. Sitting up straight actually tends to make you sound clearer and more confident.
Interesting. And when it comes to actually answering the questions, what's the key advice for communicating effectively?
Clarity and conciseness. That's the goal. Answer the question directly, clearly. Focus on how your specific skills, your relevant experiences, your achievements, how they directly relate to what the role needs. And look, it is perfectly okay to take a brief pause. Collect your thoughts before launching into an answer, especially for tricky questions. Or, politely ask for clarification if you're not totally sure what they're asking. Better than guessing. Just try not to rush your answers. Speak at a moderate, clear pace.
Okay, so the interview is wrapping up. What's the right way to handle the end of the conversation?
Definitely make sure you take the opportunity, usually when they ask, do you have any questions for us?
Yeah.
To ask about the next steps. What's the expected timeline for hearing back about the outcome? And always, always thank the interviewer. Thank them for their time, for the opportunity to interview for the role. Basic courtesy, but really important.
Right. And what should you do immediately after the interview finishes, like as soon as you hang up or walk out?
The article strongly recommends this, and I agree. Take a few minutes right away while it's all fresh in your mind and jot down some notes. Write down the specific questions they asked you, briefly how you answered them, any key points that came up, any impressions you had. This is gold dust for preparing for any potential second interviews, or just for reflecting on how you did, ready for the next opportunity, whatever the outcome this time.
That's really practical advice. Speaking of outcomes, there are generally a few possibilities, right? Let's start with the best one. You get a job offer. What then?
Fantastic. But yeah, resist that urge maybe to just scream yes down the phone immediately, even if it feels like your dream job. Take a little time, carefully consider the whole offer, talk it over with people you trust, friends, family, mentors, meticulously check all the details, salary, benefits, start date, working hours, anything else in the contract. Then not your final decision. Don't be afraid to ask for clarification if anything's unclear.
Okay, sensible approach. And what about the Less happy outcome,
Yeah.
getting a rejection. How should you handle that constructively?
Yeah, it's tough, but it's really crucial to remember rejection is just a normal part of job searching, especially for competitive roles. Try not to take it too personally or get too disheartened. The article wisely suggests sending a polite email back, thank them again for the opportunity to interview, and importantly, ask if they'd be willing to provide any brief feedback on your interview performance.
Ask for feedback even after a rejection.
Mm-hmm.
Did that work?
Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, depending on their policy or time. But asking demonstrates initiative. It shows a growth mindset that you're committed to learning and improving. Just a brief, polite email. Something like, thanks again for the opportunity. I'd be really grateful for any feedback on my interview if you're able to share it, as it would be valuable for my ongoing search. Shows professionalism.
Good template. And what about that kind of middle ground where maybe a decision isn't made right away?
Right, sometimes they might still be interviewing others, or perhaps they haven't quite reached a final decision after the first round. In that case, they might invite you back for a second interview. Generally, that's a really positive sign, means you're a strong contender. So you need to prepare just as thoroughly, maybe even more so than for the first one. And definitely use those notes you made after the first interview to help you prep.
Okay, so reflecting on all this, it really does all seem to boil down to being comprehensively prepared, doesn't it? From that initial deep research right through to how you handle the follow-up.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thorough preparation is like the cornerstone of a successful interview experience. It really covers everything. Understanding the format, crafting your answers, managing your nerves, your well-being on the day.
Yeah.
It's all part of it.
And maybe final thought for you listening.
Hmm.
Think about how proactively seeking feedback, like we just discussed, even when you face a setback, even a rejection. Think how that really showcases your commitment to your own professional development, that desire to continuously improve, that kind of proactive, growth-focused approach, which we've sort of unpacked today from the source material.
Yeah.
That can ultimately be what really sets you apart on your whole career journey.